So in this specific video, we're going to go through 3.1, discover your customer service vision and values. All right. So how do we go about discovering your customer service vision and values? And this is part of your core values, part of how to create a culture of excellence when it comes to your customer service. So mainly there are 3 steps. We're going to go through it together. You're going to be able to define your, define in your company what is considered as great customer service. So when your team members talk to each other, they know exactly whether they are up to standards, whether they are below it. When new team members come in, they can straight away plug into this culture of, all right, so this is what great customer service looks like. So we're going to go through that. Number 2, we're going to go through how to decide on which channels to give customer support, right? So not necessarily you have to be in all the channels. We're going to talk about the positives, the negatives of each channel, and how to choose. Okay. And finally, number 3, exceeding expectations. What does that look like, right? So people always say you got to exceed expectations. So we're going to go and take a look at how you can do it specifically for your company and your customer service department. How to set expectations, how to figure out what those expectations are of your customers when they come to you, and then how to exceed it in an effortless way. All right, so let's get into it. So number 1 is define great customer service for your company. So how do you know you are doing a good job? So let's take a look at this example of Disney, right? So Disney World, if you go to any of the Disney Worlds, you go to Disneyland. We went to Hong Kong Disneyland, and they have this feeling when you go in with every single person that you talk to, every single staff, every single section. The theme, I know it's a theme park, but the theme of the service is always the same. They want to create an environment where it's the happiest place on earth. So meaning the staff, the contractors, the architects all have this vision of, oh, this is what we are headed to, right? So the happiest place on earth. Then it becomes easier for each of these departments of these people in your company, in their company, to align and to make decisions whether what are they doing, is it correct or not, right? So if you take a look at in Disneyland, what we don't see behind the scenes is there's so many things that's going on that makes it feel that way. So here are some tips, 6 tips, 6 questions to help you define your standards. Okay, so there's no one standard for everyone. You define your own and what works for you, and then you work on it in a disciplined way, so that you can see whether the results are happening or not. Okay, you start low, or you start, don't have to go reach for the skies. Make sure you have it well defined, then you can improve it as you go along. So let's go through one by one. Okay, number 1 is how quickly will you respond to customers? It depends on what kind of tools you're using, what are the time zones, what are the expectations of your customers. So if it is, if you're doing, let's say if you're doing mobile, mobile phones, or if you're doing internet, right? Internet, Wi-Fi. So the expectation is it's going to be instant, because the things that happen in when it comes to Wi-Fi and phone line is like emergency, like that. If you cannot solve the problem, it becomes like, they get really agitated. So you want to take a look at, in your industry, what is the norm, and then set it either the same or a little bit better. Okay, so it could be maybe within 30 minutes, within 15 minutes, or some companies within 12 hours, which is a little bit too long, right? But if you can get it within the hour, it's a great start already. Okay. Number 2, how will your team behave when dealing with customers? So what does that mean, behave? Well, it's the tone. Okay, the tone means, is it like a very soft tone. Where is this? Where can you find where somebody speaks? Hello, sir. Welcome to our spa. It's obviously a spa, right? Because they want the tone to be relaxing and stuff like that. So what is your tone? The language. First, obviously, you want to pick the type of language. Is it English? Is it Bahasa? Is it Chinese, Mandarin? Next, the language is also, is it more professional? Is it more colloquial, like friend, or is it somewhere in between? So you want to be specific, right? Give some examples to your team members so they know, oh, this is how to do it. Have a video, maybe like 2 minutes like this, and then say, hey, speak to them like this, right? In this language. Next is the attitude. The attitude is more of what are you thinking about in your brain, in your mind when speaking to a customer, right? So an example of an attitude is an attitude of, for us, right? Internally for YesHello is, we win when our customers win. So that means we are always on our customer side. We are on our client side, right? So our success only comes if others are successful. So when we have that attitude, that come from, right? Automatically, the first thing that our team does is we want to ask, well, how can we help you to win? Okay, so this attitude, this come from in the brain, this mindset, sets up a lot of either success or not so successful. So if you have an attitude in your customer service department where, oh man, customers are a hassle, then even though the next customer comes in, it's not going to be a hassle, it's a genuine case, but your teams come from is it's going to be a hassle, then they're going to treat it like, yes, what is it that you want now? You know what I mean? But the other person has no idea what you're talking about. What do you mean now? This is my first time chatting with you, right? So the attitude is very crucial and key. So we're going to take a look at that. Number 3, how will you handle disagreement? So if they are saying something and you say something, how do you handle that? Maybe you have a script. So something like, I understand you're feeling frustrated, sir. I meet us too. If I went through what you went through, I'm gonna feel so frustrated as well. We had another client who did the same thing, and I totally understand how you feel. So what I'm gonna do now is this. I'm also going to give you this info right now. At the same time, I'm going to speak to my manager, and my manager blah blah blah. Will that be okay with you? So you want to have a standard, by point based what you're going to do, right? When you have the disagreements. Number 4, what are you not able to support or offer? This is very important. So your team needs to know exactly what they can support and what they cannot support. Okay, so this is what when you're doing freelancing, it's called scope creep. So if it's not clear to your team members, then it's definitely not going to be clear for your clients. And when they have this expectation of, I thought they can do this, this, and that, right? And then when your team doesn't deliver, it's going to be very disappointing. So you cannot over deliver when first your team doesn't know what they can and cannot support, and number 2, if they cannot communicate it so that your clients also now will know, right? Number 5, who in the company is responsible for customer service? So this responsible means accountability. Who's accountable? That means this person is the one in charge. The first one in charge. That means they have goals to meet. They are setting this culture, the tone, the language. They are the one who is, the buck stops there, right? So who's that person? And then who's in the team, right? So in the team, maybe this person has 3 or 4 members in the team. Who is responsible for what? First level, who's going to do second level? And if it's an emergency, who? So it doesn't have to be so detailed. You just need to have like a point form, answer this, and share this document with your team members. It's good enough for a start. Then you can always improve it as you go along. Number 6, what ethical principles will you hold on to? This is also very important. These principles are the ones that will guide your team's, your team's behaviors daily, right? What if the customer service manager is not around? Then they will, using these principles, guide their own behavior. So number 1, maybe always tell the truth, right? Always be on time. So there's a good principle. You want to have specific principles. You can start with 1 or 2 or 3 that guides you. So these are the 6 things that will help you to define your standards, and then your team will know what success means. Number 2 is to decide which channels to offer. So I'm guessing that you guys are not in a huge enterprise business. You don't have $1 million in budget, right? You don't have maybe like 100 people that you can ask to help around to support you in all these channels. And if you just think about it, there's an infinite number of social media channels. The big core one, there's like 6 or 7 of those: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and all those. And not including all the messaging channels. It is just impossible to be able to give top-notch quality support if you are offering it in all. That means you are a jack of all trades, right? So even worse than a jack of all trades, you'll be like not so, you'll be crappy in all the channels. So what you want is you want to pick one or maybe a few, 3 or 4. But I think more than that will be a little bit of a challenge if you don't have specific, especially when you're starting out, right? Because you don't have SOPs yet, standard operating procedures, you don't have the culture set yet. So my suggestion is to pick maybe, well, for us, pick one, right? WhatsApp, pick first. Then you can use that, what works and what didn't work in that one channel, and see where you can now go to other channels. Okay, so you can't be everywhere all the time. So reliable service on a few channels beats inconsistent service everywhere. So your customers want something predictable, reliable. So be reliable in the few. They don't mind, right? I know some will say, oh, I wish you're here, I wish you're there, but they would rather have, I can speak to this person in one place and it's reliable. It's always, consistent every single time and predictable. That's really great. So you want to strike the balance, right? So if you want to strike this balance on which channel to pick, 2 key questions when selecting the right support channel. Number 1, where do your customers want to talk to you? So this one you kind of have a feel already where you want to support them and where they want you to support them. So choose, maybe have a short list and then try 1 or 2 first, right? The top ones where your customers are already there, so it's less of drag, less of resistance. Number 2 is where can you provide quality service. So not necessarily that they want you there that you can provide quality service. For example, they say, oh, I want you to be on the phone. But if you only have one person, if you are the only person who's doing it, then it's impossible to do on the phone, kan? Meaning that you have to balance where your customers want and what you can do. Later on, once you are big, when you get funding or something, or when you're already super successful and you got 6-7 figures to spend, then you can hire new people. Then maybe you can have a call center. But for now, think about the best place your customers want to talk to you and the best quality that you can provide. And I would suggest start with WhatsApp, start with email, because these are the 2 asynchronous communication. That means it's not synchronized. It means if you send one, it's okay for them to wait before you answer. It's not like live chat or phone where they expect it to be now, right? Because it's called live chat. So make sure you pick the right one according to what resources you have. So here is a cheat sheet I want you guys to have. You can take a look at the few channels that you can pick. So email is very conversational and it's asynchronous. That means you don't have to synchronize right at that time to answer, but it can slow back and forth discussion, right? Phone, we spoke a little bit about this now as well. It's real time, it's personal, but very time consuming and very costly. Live chat is a mix of email and phone, but they still expect very fast response because they're on the website and it's called live chat, right? So make sure if you want to do live chat that you have somebody live. Number 4 is messaging. This is the one that I recommend. Messaging, you can use SMS. WhatsApp is of course the best. Messenger, Instagram direct message, LinkedIn. So pick the ones that in your region a lot of your customers use. So if you're in Southeast Asia, obviously it's WhatsApp. Next is social media. Social media is very friendly, it's very easy, you can share, it's very shareable, but sometimes can be too visible, right? Especially if you have too many negative ones, then you've seen some of those. Next is the customer forum. This is great, it's very scalable, but you'll need to have at least one person who's very diligent and often goes in to monitor, take a look. And finally, it's the knowledge base and self-service tools. I love these. It's highly scalable, very efficient, but again, needs ongoing maintenance because you need to update your knowledge base and articles when you upgrade your services or you've got new products and things like that. Okay. So that is the end of that part of 3.1, how to discover your customer service vision. Next, we're going to cover in 3.2, how to hire the perfect customer service team, right? What to look for in the team, what are the values, and how to set it up so that they are successful. All right, so my name is Khalif. Looking forward to seeing you again. See you in the next video. Bye-bye now.